Books,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
books all have taken out?
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. We are going to...
Good morning.
Good morning, Vishesh. Good morning, Beta.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Vyom. Quickly, we'll have the attendance and then we'll start with the class. Okay? Ahana, is she there?
Present, ma'am.
Aradhe? Aradhe, are you there, beta?
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Okay. Arush? Abhishri? Yes. Akshita?
Present, ma'am.
Anshika Gangwar? She's not there. Anshika Yadav? Anvesha? Not there. Archit? Sorry, Arshit? Aryan Gangwar? Then Asjad? Atharv Verma?
present, ma'am.
Okay. Avantika?
Present, ma'am.
Beta, yesterday you were there in the class?
No, ma'am, actually.
What? Avantika?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
Ma'am, actually, what happened that I was out somewhere. That's why.
No problems. Ayushi? Ayushi is not there. Bhavya Khandelwal not there. Gurleen, are you there? No. Harshit Oberoi? Not there. Ishi Agarwal?
Present, ma'am.
Jay Kanojia? Not there. Jivyansh? Not there. Kartikeya Saxena? Khyati? Kinjal? Mihika?
Present, ma'am.
Paurush Daksh? Pratyush? Purvi? Saksham? Shagun?
Ma'am, Pratyush present.
Yes, beta, I have marked. Shagun is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shambhavi? Shashank? Shivansh?
Ma'am, Shivan present.
Okay. Shreya Gupta? Shreya?
Ma'am, Shreya present.
Yes. Taran? Utkarsh?
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Utkarsh? Vishesh?
Ma'am, Utkarsh present.
Fine.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
Vishesh
Utkarsh
present.
Vishesh is present. Vyom Saxena present.
Ma'am,
Vyom
Utkarsh.
Sharma? Utkarsh is also present. I have marked. Vyom Sharma, are you there?
Ma'am, Vyom Saxena present.
Vyom is present. Yashika?
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. So I'll show you a video which will be giving the introduction of the chapter.
Please,
Yes,
ma'am,
beta.
please mark my present.
Anshika Yadav, I have marked you present, beta. Don't worry.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Can you see the screen, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the
Yes,
voice?
ma'am.
Can you hear the voice also?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I cannot hear the voice.
Ma'am, I also.
Yes, ma'am. I
Ma'am, I
also.
also.
Yes, ma'am.
When we can see the video, but voice is not means.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
When you can on its subtitles.
now you can hear. Now you can hear.
No,
I'm
ma'am.
very slow.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, very
very,
less, ma'am.
Oh,
It is
ma'am.
very difficult.
very less voice.
You can open its
Ah.
subtitles.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, beta. Farooq.
Ma'am,
Good.
what we are doing today?
I have shared the screen. We are watching a video.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, voice is not coming.
Voice is full over here.
Ma'am, you can open the subtitles, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have subtitles for this? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, captions. Captions.
But it is not showing anything here.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, click on settings.
Open.
Yes, ma'am.
From the beginning. Okay, now from the beginning we are playing.
Ma'am,
Yes, beta.
ma'am, in 19th century, ma'am, there was no seats. Ma'am, these students were always sit at the ground and study with that patta.
Beta, because there was no system of benches and tables. No, this came later on when British education, when the British introduced, modern system of education, and slowly, these tables and chairs and the rooms they came into being. Earlier, there was no room as well. Like all the students, they, you know, outside in open, and the teachers they used to teach under the tree. The classes were conducted throughout, like wherever the large trees were there, classes were held under those trees, in the shade of those trees, in the natural surroundings. And there were no tables, no chairs. Children used to sit on the ground itself. With these pathas only they used to study. There was no book
Ma'am,
system.
ma'am,
Yes,
they also don't have any uniforms. Ma'am, school uniforms.
exactly. There was no uniform. In the casual uniforms only they used to come to school to attend the classes, because
Ma'am, there was no copy or notebooks like that.
there was no formal system actually. Everything was
Okay.
informal. Everything was
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
huh. They
they use slates to write, ma'am, instead of
they used slates to write, and for quite a long time these slates were used. Even you people must have used when you were in nursery KG, right? Your parents must have worked.
So ma'am, how they record any if they have to write any answer or like that? So ma'am, how they record in that?
They had notebooks, but the notebooks came quite late. It was in the later stages when the notebooks were introduced.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
हाँ yes बेटा व्योम बोलो बच्चे.
as in this video, we saw that William Jones came in Calcutta. Ma'am, he established, ma'am, Asiatic Society
Asiatic society,
for
yes.
the ma'am education of Indians.
हाँ.
तो मैम हम कहीं जगह कहते हैं कि that British are ruling us, but sometimes they are also means helping to develop us.
It was like, see, everybody has their own interest. When the British came over here in the country, they had the only single motive to rule over the country, right? But education, how education came into being, this is another story. Like, there were, people who wanted that Indians, at least, they should get a helping hand from the Indians. So that helping hand was basically through education only. They wanted accountants, they wanted clerks to keep the records, to check, to keep the accounts. So for that, they never wanted to use British officers. So for that, they needed, Indians to take care of that. For that, they wanted to teach them, because they had no knowledge of English. English was not taught in the, schools, in the Indian schools, the pathshalas or the maktabs that were there. Right? Let us finish this video, and then all the queries that you have, we'll be discussing that. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, it is said, ma'am, that ma'am, British has take many things from India, but ma'am, they have given many things like ma'am books, no, books, nahi ma'am, currency, education, rail, and many more things.
That we will discuss everything. Don't worry, Harshit. Okay. Fine. How to come out? Okay. Fine. So what did you understand through this video, class?
Ma'am, firstly that ma'am, the education of that time was very difficult.
Okay, it was difficult, or there was
Yes,
no.
ma'am.
And ma'am, British spent 1 lakh rupees
Actually,
of
this is what
Indian.
yesterday I told you about this. No, that in under the Charter of 1813, this 1 lakh money was sanctioned. But then, why this charter failed? Because there was no direction given to this charter that how the money has to be spent. Right? See,
Ma'am, only 1 lakh for the whole Indian education was given.
beta, imagine at that time, 1813, 1 lakh used to be a huge amount of money. When anas, when in 25 paisa and 10 paisa people used to buy a lot many things, at that time 1 lakh rupee was sanctioned. But then no direction was given then whether the schools are to be opened, how it is going to be spent, like what is to be done with that amount of money which was sanctioned. So that is why this charter failed and people could not utilize it. They could not make best use of this money that was sanctioned by the British government. Some of them, they felt that the money will be a waste. Why the British is spending money on Indian education. So because of these type of controversies that were there, it became, this charter actually failed. Right? Right, class?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, as at that time, as the need of education was there,
Hmm.
as same the need of money was also there, ma'am.
Exactly. Of course, money
So,
was
ma'am,
required. Yes.
teacher would have charged more on the education for means for managing his family, his or her family.
I
So,
didn't.
ma'am, 8 lakh to bought
कम था.
1 lakh to very less if teacher charges more very
बेटा
much.
उस टाइम पे मनी जो था, आज की डेट से अगर आप कंपेयर करते हो तो ऑफ कोर्स इट इज वेरी लेस, बट उस टाइम पे 1813 में जब 10 पैसे, 1 पैसे, 2 पैसे चला करते थे, उन 1 पैसे, 2 पैसे, 10 पैसे में पीपल यूज टू बाय लॉट मेनी थिंग्स. उस टाइम पे 1 लाख वॉज अ वेरी गुड अमाउंट. तो ब्रिटिश जो थे उनको लगा, कुछ कुछ ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर्स को लगा कि इतना पैसा खर्च करना इज यूजलेस, बट कुछ को लगा कि भाई नहीं, इट इज फ्रूटफुल, बिकॉज एटलीस्ट एक बेसिक एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन जो है इंडियंस को उनको दे देंगे, जिससे कि उनके कामों में वो हेल्प करेंगे. ठीक है. उन्हें लगा कि भाई जब हम यहाँ पे रूल कर ही रहे हैं तो हम इस तरीके से रूल करें कि भाई लोगों को भी ये लगे कि भाई हम उनका फायदा कर रहे हैं. तभी भाई कोई अपने ऊपर अपने हमें तभी तो रूल करने देगा जब हम उसके बारे में भी सोचेंगे. तो उन्हें लगा कि भाई इम्पार्टिंग एजुकेशन वाज द बेस्ट वे ऑफ कन्विंसिंग इंडियंस कि भाई हाँ, ब्रिटिश रूल उनके लिए अच्छा है. वो अलग
I
बात
mean,
है. हाँ,
they were educating Indians for only
for
the,
their own benefits. Yes, for their own benefits. They had no motive that they wanted all the Indians to be properly literate, or they should know how to read and write. It was just that they wanted to utilize the group of Indians, and education was imparted to the selective ones, not to everyone. Like
I mean, they can work under the British.
Ma'am,
what?
They are making Indians that capable that they can work under the British.
Yes, they were making them capable only to work under them. Okay.
Okay,
Ma'am,
Hi.
their 1 lakh provision is like, ma'am, today's 100 crore provision to us.
Exactly. Very good, Arshit. It is true. It is like that only, beta. Okay. Now, when we talk, yes, beta.
ma'am, not 100,000.
Ma'am, you said that they imparted education to only selective ones. Ma'am, who were the selective ones?
Selective ones were the one who would grasp, the English language, who could understand easily, and those who were keen to learn more. Like not everybody was into studying on education, but there were few those who wanted that they should at least know how to read and write, so that these sahukars and the money lenders from whom they were taking money, they should not cheat on them. So they were not very
rulers also.
No, rulers, of course, rulers were had good knowledge. They had good education, and in the video it's stated that the rulers, the people belonging to big families, good families, rich families, or the rulers, the higher education was imparted by the tutors at home only. Like they. Yes.
Ma'am, in English education. Ma'am, what? Ma'am, in English education, ma'am, what all things they used to teach?
In English grammar, they used to teach English literature. They used to teach everything of the Western education that they could teach the Indians, that they were teaching. Like the main, you want to know the main subjects and main topics that were taught by the of the English, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It was basically those things. Like I'll tell you. See, English grammar, English literature, then poetry, prose, science, all these things were taught by the British to the Indians of the Western this thing part. Right?
Ma'am?
Yes, beta.
Yes, ma'am, how Indian ma'am.
बोलो परुष, बोलो बेटा.
मैम कैन आई स्पीक इन हिंदी मैम?
अच्छा बोलो.
मैम जैसे मैम इंडिया में एजुकेशन थी मैम, वैसे ही बाहर के देशों में भी ऐसी एजुकेशन होती थी?
बेटा इंडिया की एजुकेशन वाज डिफरेंट. इंडिया में अलग तरीके का सिस्टम था, बाहर की कंट्रीज में अलग सिस्टम था. हर कंट्री का अपना सिस्टम होता है एजुकेशन का. हमारे यहाँ पे एजुकेशन को बहुत ज्यादा महत्व नहीं दिया जाता था. आपने देखा होगा पास्ट में जो थे भाई रूलर्स जो थे, उनको गुरुकुल्स भेजा जाता था, आश्रम भेजा जाता था. वहां पे वो जो भी बेसिक मतलब उनकी लर्निंग क्या होती थी कि भाई दे शुड बी गुड इन फाइटिंग स्किल्स उनके अच्छे होने चाहिए, स्वॉर्ड उनको चलानी आनी चाहिए, उनको हर तरीके का जो भी इक्विपमेंट थे जिससे वो लड़ाई करते थे वो सब उनको चलाना आना चाहिए, और बेसिक वेदास की नॉलेज होनी चाहिए. उसके अलावा और कोई ऐसा मोटिव नहीं होता था. संस्कृत पढ़नी आनी चाहिए. जो हायर क्लास जैसे जो वो थे आपके जो रूलर्स वगैरह के बच्चे थे, किंग्स वगैरह के जो बच्चे थे, उनको संस्कृत पढ़ाई जाती थी. उनको संस्कृत पढ़ाना चाहिए था क्योंकि संस्कृत वाज द कॉमन लैंग्वेज. हिंदी तो बहुत बाद में हम लोग ने, मतलब हम हिंदी बोलते थे उस टाइम पे, पर संस्कृत वाज गिवन मोर इम्पोर्टेंस क्योंकि हर चीज, हर टेक्स्ट जो था वो संस्कृत में ही होता था. जैसे आज हिंदी में होता है वैसे उस समय संस्कृत में हुआ करता था. तो संस्कृत की नॉलेज ज्यादा जो है इम्पार्ट की जाती थी बच्चों को, लोगों को. ठीक है?
ओके मैम.
Ma'am, how British were able to learn Sanskrit?
बेटा जिनको लर्न करनी थी वो आते थे ना पढ़ने के लिए. आपने देखा नहीं, विलियम जोन्स जो थे वो आए इंडिया में, बहुत टाइम हर लैंग्वेज को जो है सीखा, पढ़ा. भाई हम लोग भी तो फॉरेन लैंग्वेजेस सीखते हैं, नहीं सीखते? Same way, he also came and they learned. Like, yes, Utkarsh, like?
French.
Like French,
Ma'am, like us, ma'am, we learn English, French.
Yes, French, German, Spanish, right? There were many languages, like as per the interest of the person. Not everybody was interested in learning Hindi or Sanskrit or Persian or Arabic. It was just that the matter of fact that who all were interested. Those who wanted to know about more about the country, more about the past of the country, because all the text and everything was written in Sanskrit, Persian or Arabic. So they wanted to learn these languages so that they could they could have a deep knowledge of the country. They could know about the people there, about the society, what were the practices in the past, how they were leading their lives, all the everything that was practiced by the Indians. But then British were not able to. They felt, some of the British felt that if they want to rule over the Indians, they need to know about their past as well, right? And they need to know that what was the society set up, how people used to live, and what all professions and everything. So but because all those things were in different languages, Indian languages only, that is why they had to learn these languages, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. Now because
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hanji Saksham beta.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Ma'am,
Yes.
was Akbar uneducated?
Of course he was illiterate.
Yes, ma'am.
But he was knowledgeable. He was knowledgeable because he.
Ma'am, who?
Akbar.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Right. He was illiterate. He had never gone to any of these schools. Not even the basic elementary part was. He was not adapt with that also, because he never had interest. But then he was interested in knowing about the literature, about the architect. So he had people, those who were learned people, and they used to read out books for him. That is why he was full of knowledge, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what was
Ma'am,
this
he was
vernacular language?
Vernacular language is the local languages that are spoken at the regional level.
Okay, ma'am.
अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस होती हैं लोगों की. वर्नाकुलर में मतलब होता है जो भी रीजनल लैंग्वेज होती है वो अलग अलग भाषाएं होती हैं जो लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं बात करने के लिए.
Okay, ma'am.
हाँ. Yes, Pratyush was saying something. Yes, Pratyush.
Ma'am, he has a very short height.
Who?
He had.
Who? Akbar.
Ma'am, Akbar.
हाँ. Akbar had a very short height. Right.
Ma'am, he was about 5'4" or 5'6".
हाँ तो when 5'6" is okay, not very short. If 4 feet is a short height. If 5+, it is okay. Not too short, not too long.
Ma'am, what kind of preference was given to Indians?
What kind of?
Preference. Ma'am, if they were good in English, as it was in the video in 1844.
See, if they were good in English, they were kept, with the British officials so that they could, translate the Hindi version to the English version. Right? They used to work as translators for the British. You have seen Lagan movie, no? In that Lagan movie, there was one person who used to convey the messages of the villagers to the British. So because they were not, that lady, she didn't knew English, Hindi, that is why she had that person with her, so that he could, translate everything what they were saying. So these people, they were kept as translators, and there were several things that were, several work was taken out from these people.
Ma'am, Lagan movie is a true story.
That I don't know. Not exactly. No, it cannot be a true story. But then, yes, these kind of events were there. Huh?
Ma'am, I think that it was a true story, ma'am. As in the ending, ma'am, there was a line that it was a story that was lost in the minds of people.
It was written in the last that after this match, there were several postings were given to the officers, those who were there. Plus the Lagan was cut short, and the rulers, the king, those who was there, he was given back his ruling powers because it had been taken away from him. No, ठीक है, it is based on a true story, right.
Ma'am, the movie was made for the water lagan.
Water lagan means?
मैम पानी के लगान, मैम ब्रिटिश पानी पे भी लगान लगाना चाहते थे मैम, इसलिए दैट वाज डन।
अच्छा, ऐसा भी कुछ था? ऐसा तो हमने नहीं नोट करा बेटा, ऑब्जर्व नहीं करा इसलिए।
मैम मैंने तो मैम जो
Ma'am,
सीन देखा
no,
है
ma'am.
अच्छा।
No, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, the Indians were saying that if we will win the match, then you will cut our lagan.
Hmm.
And ma'am, British were saying that if we will,
And ma'am, they were saying,
then the lagan will
double.
तीन गुना हो जाएगा ma'am.
हाँ, it will go 3 times, right. ठीक है, it was their way of overpowering Indians. चलिए, now back to the class.
And you know, from next week, ma'am, vaccine will be coming in Britain. In
अच्छा,
market.
then yesterday only in the news they were showing.
Ma'am, cost of vaccination will be 3,000 rupees.
Okay, but then it is not like until it comes in the market, it shows its results, we cannot say anything, no? Right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. Let us start the chapter now. Reading will start, right? Okay. See, what you have seen in the video and what you have in the book, that is completely different. Like, not exactly the same they have shown, but yes, there are several things, several points that have been told in the video. Some of those points are there in the book. They have told you, like in this chapter, they have told you that earlier there was indigenous system of education there, but later on, when British established their control over the country, after they established themselves properly in the country, they went to introduce the Western education in the country. Then they have told that how the Christian missionaries, when they came to India, they wanted to they wanted British to interfere, to do away with the policy of non-interference in the education system of the Indians. And it was because of the efforts of the Christian missionaries that the English education was the modern education was introduced in the Indian education system. Then how the British changed their policy, in that they have told you about that this Charter Act of 1813 was introduced, but due to no directions which were given to this through this charter, it failed. The money that was sanctioned, it had no influence, it had no what do you call weightage, right? Then they are telling you about two thought of schools, that is the Orientalists and the Anagalists. Now Orientalists were the group of people who advocated the teaching of Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic learning and the local languages. They felt that education to be imparted in these local languages, whatever their basic language was, it should be imparted in that. But Anagalists, they had a different thought of mind. They advocated that the teaching of Western learning with English should be there as the medium of in education. Like English should be given more importance than the local or the vernacular languages, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have given all the arguments.
Yes, ma'am.
Then they have given all
Yes,
the
ma'am.
arguments that were given by these two groups of people, that is Anagalist and the Orientalist. The Anagalist, they consisted of Thomas Babington Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, जिनको भी हम बोलते हैं, and James Mill. These two were from the Anagalist groups, and William Jones and Colebrook. These two people, they advocated the Sanskrit, Persian and the Arabic learning and the local languages. They were of the thought that whatever education is to be imparted, it should be imparted in the local languages and the languages that are known to the Indians best, right? And all the arguments they have given, like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he also, like his reference is given over here because he was the one who, always who was in favor of the Western learning. We all know that Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he established the Brahmo Samaj, which played an important role in the spreading of English education in India, right? So this is all that we are going to read. Then next we have Macaulay's system of education. Here in this we'll be having, the Macaulay's minutes, the whatever observations Macaulay had made, all those observations also we are going to read, right? So right now, Pratyush, you read this indigenous education system and explanation part after Pratyush finishes the reading. Okay?
Indigenous education system. Before
Yeah.
the
Ma'am, I have a
British rule,
question.
Pratyush, all the three topics: indigenous education, introduction of Western education, then Christian missionaries, all these things. Okay?
okay, ma'am.
Fine. Read.
Indigenous education system. Before the British rule, education in India was imparted through a network of elementary schools, pathshalas and maktabs and madrasas. However, the courses were based on the old texts like the Vedas and their commentaries, which had not kept pace with the changes in the world. Eventually, the Indian system of education transformed in many ways under the company rule. Introduction of Western education. East India Company. The East India Company showed very little interest in the promotion of education in India. Only a few educational institutions were set up to ensure a steady supply of Indian employees to the law courts run by the company in India. Their knowledge of classical languages was utilized by the British to establish correspondence with the native states. The first institution of such type were the Calcutta Madrasa set up by Warren Hastings in 1781 for the study of Muslim law and related subjects. Sanskrit College was established by Jonathan Duncan at Banaras in 1791 for the study of Hindu law and philosophy. The Fort William College was established in 1800 for the training of civil servants